Well, what a note to end season 12 on. I'd say paddles at the ready. Because the bull canoe have done it.
Hey everyone, welcome to week 2, to your 3B week 2 recap, the Line and Bear Report. I am Spaceline.
And I am Kodiak.
Yeah, and we're kicking things off here, week 2, a little later than, well, I don't know. I don't know that there's a normal yet. This is only the third time I've done this
Yeah.
for 3B. Yeah. Had a bit of a happy hour with folks from work, and so just getting back and getting going here. So hello and welcome to Hiroto, Sakara, and Chabzu. And yeah, we'll get into, again, 3B Week 2 action. But first, want to check in with Kodiak and see how his Nurgle are doing up in 2B.
Better than last week, I guess, in some ways. I at least tied this week instead of losing, so now I have a 0-1-1 record.
Hey.
That's something.
Better than one of us.
The good news in terms of progress, I had a wrestle plus move Pestigore that was really trying to get tackle on for a while, and I finally got him the last touchdown he needed for that. So he's now a much more useful piece. That, like, previously it's like, well, I have the tackle piece and the wrestle piece, and they're different, and so I don't know which one to use. Now I just use this guy. I want to bring someone down.
Yeah.
The bad news is I was already nursing a level 4 Nurgle Warrior with a armor bust, and now he just took a movement bust as well, which is the sort of thing that happens when you take an armor bust, is that then the other injuries start to pile up.
Yeah.
It's still unfortunate, but it does trim my TV some to mean I'm probably not giving a wizard to the Kislev I play this week. Ooh. So that's like the one silver lining there is I can live without one Nurgle Warrior against a team that isn't like very high strength like that.
Yeah.
If it means that they don't get the wizard against me.
Right. Yeah, the difference of one Nurgle Warrior doesn't change the makeup of that too much. Well, yeah, that's good then. And yeah, especially when you're like, how many seasons for this Nurgle? Is it 4 now?
This is the 4th season, I think. No, this is the 5th season.
Fifth season. Wow. Yeah, so yeah, this far along in development, like having some new development is always kind of exciting.
Yeah, I've now got all 4 Pestigores with useful skills, which is like that's really wild because like I've always had struggled with them, and to have a little bit of project on Nurgle Warriors is fine. And actually, all my 4 Nurgle Warriors I block, which is amazing too. So
yeah,
team's
great.
actually in pretty solid shape.
Yeah, well that's good. And
get into this week where there's some teams that aren't.
Yeah, I was like that seems like an apt way to transition, especially into this first match. So yeah, let's switch into the Hobnobs versus Rebel Rage Quit.
Oh, Robbie wins a match.
Yeah, that is the short of it. And probably the long of it too. I mean, what if you were to, if I was to tell you Robbie won a match 2-0, you'd probably picture what's on the other side here.
Yeah, I assume that what we're looking at is because of the 9 KOs and 6 casualties sustained, that he simply scored because there was nothing for his pieces to hit. So it's like, I
Yeah.
guess the Bull Centaur might as well walk the ball in.
Right. Yeah, he's like, gosh, wouldn't it be nice if these Bull Centaurs could also pile on with Mighty Blow?
Mm-hmm.
I should maybe just give them the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I took a look at this one because I was curious. It's interesting to kind of watch a Robbie, because you just like, I feel like his approach is, much ballyhooed, but also like kind of pure in some distillation of just like what he wants to accomplish, which is hit stuff, pile on stuff. There's a ball, and it's like you can just see it. You see the wheels turning, even like the replay viewer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Hiroto Sakara is pointing out the other part of the story, which is the orcs. And yeah, this is one of the, I suppose, downsides or potential downsides of doing well your rookie season and then getting put up to a third tier division. And Burke was not impressed. Though, I think I would say, and this isn't a counter argument, I can understand the frustration. I, again, watched this, and it was very painful to watch. Because, again, it's not like Robbie pulled out some wild stuff. They played like they always do. But there just wasn't enough skills. And I think on the other side, and I think the orcs tried to play like they always do. Right. They have strength, they have guard, they have block in places, and they wanted to they acted like they were going to get into a scrum with this team. Mm-hmm. And that did not go so well for them. I think, as far as div placement, like, they were complaining about facing a team with 95 games, etc., yeah. And making it seem like the whole division was made out like that. That is not the case. And this is the only, as we pointed out in our precap, this is the only 6-season team in this division. I would not be surprised if it was one of the oldest ones in Tier 3. They didn't do well enough to stay in Tier 2, so they're down here with us. Yeah. A lot of us, I think the second oldest is a 3-season team, or a couple 3-season teams. We're not happy with it either. And as Hiroto's pointing out, you can't go toe to toe with a Robbie. Like, it's not going to go well for you when they have block, thick skull, so that even if you're getting those knockdowns, it's not going to work out too well.
Well, I played him last season. I went toe-to-toe with him, but that's because I was playing a Nurgle team with 300 more TV than him, and more Claw, and more Mighty Blow, and more Guard, and more Strength. Like, I could do it and I had, cheap Rotters to, be my basing pieces. This Orc team could not afford to do it. You have to be, if you can big dog a Robbie, you can get away with it. Because, actually, Chaos Dwarves are not the bashiest team in the game necessarily. They're just a good bashing team that starts out strong. But certainly this Orc team could not get away with it. They don't have enough guard. They don't have any claw, obviously. They don't have enough pieces. And...
Yeah. And, I mean, I just used all my time, I think, not even talking about the match, actually. But, because we can kind of picture how this went. I will say, a couple things that stood out to me. One thing that made me chuckle was a turn 2 ball carrier foul from a Robbie.
It's always great.
They were, they were doing their thing just as anyone could predict. It wasn't in a cage. It was just like, hey, I've got dirty player.
Sing it out.
Yeah, and sneaky get, and I just happen to have the ball, but that doesn't matter. So they did that, and they had already gotten some removals. They got the troll removed at the beginning. The orcs actually chose to kick to Arabi and let him take the first hits, which I also didn't really agree with.
You'd mention that sounded like bad news.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough to just like you said, with these skills, to big dog Arabi, but letting them take the first hits and having your troll on the line against Claw Mighty Blow. Yeah, it just seemed like asking for trouble. It regen the first time, but then in the second half was not so fortunate. Yeah. And that was just going to happen at that point, because in the second half they had... well, actually, so a lot of the KOs happened in the first half. There was... they pretty much got pitch cleared in that first half. There was 1 orc left. There's 6 KOs, 3 casualties, and 1 regen troll. Mm-hmm. And they got 1 roll at turn 8, and then at that halftime, and all of those KOs came back, which was wild. Because you see, they didn't take a bait; they had a wizard and an Apo.
Yeah, but I'm looking at client, and their wake up after KO rolls for hobnobs was 75%.
Yep. That was where things were working for them. Obviously, with all the casualties and stuff, the rest was not. I do also like there was so they did take a extra Apo, which I think was a good move. They did use the first one of those on a block lineman that took a perm on a failed dodge on like turn 3. Mm-hmm. They used the Apo. It didn't change anything, and that's Marclaw. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there was just like some unfortunate resource use there. The wizard ended up being a non-factor, and that strikes me as one of things where that's poor planning for Arabi, which, I mean, that happens, right? You don't necessarily see his playstyle coming. Yeah. But, you don't need a wizard against Arabi. Don't take a wizard against Arabi. He will expose the ball continuously. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, we were talking about this before, and I think you said, if you don't have a shot at the ball, you're doing something wrong against Arabi, because it's just always there. But, yeah, and to Chabzu's point in chat, he brings out that there is a pretty big difference between... Yeah. 2-season team and a 3-season team, I'm not trying to belabor it too much, but I did want to just temper a little bit of the complaint about facing Arabi. The whole div is not stacked with Arabis. This was your Arabi match. The rest of the matches should be more evenly matched. Obviously now, whoever your next opponent is.
Yeah, there can be some issues there, but
yeah. And it does seem like they just weren't familiar with Arabi, which would be a giant wake up call if you had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We're talking from a position of we have both played this guy before, and I've watched him stream multiple games.
Yeah,
and when I played him, I had talked to you previously about him, and knew what was up. That. Mm-hmm. It's different when you're just going into it. Yeah. And you don't realize what's going to happen.
It's not like anything else in the league. There's not, it's not as hyped as it used to be, but it is a very different style of play.
Yeah. And in terms of the division stuff, Arabi is a difficult edge case for that, right? Where he is the person where the social promotion stuff of keep him in Div 2, just because his team's so badass, made some sort of logic because he was playing for damage and he always produced damage, so he was successful by his own metric. Yes. Right. Yeah. And so now he's in Div 3 because he wasn't successful by REBBL's metric, which is actually winning games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it definitely throws some chaos into whoever has the misfortune to end up in his division.
Yeah.
Whereas the Div 2 teams would tend to be better built to withstand him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and so I definitely understand the frustration of feeling like having your team run over by a big truck. This same team was one of the factors I canned my Underworld team before. But yeah, I think it is an edge case, and it is not, I think, indicative of the entire system being broken. But that is my little soapbox for the week. I think we can move on. Very painful match to play, I imagine, and also painful one to watch, of just seeing these Chaos Dwarves chew through a bunch of beautiful orcs, And yeah, the Niggle and the Troll being the biggest, I think, unfortunate occurrence. But it was nice to see.
Yeah, that's the one that hurts. You can live with that, like, block lineman. But, and the MNGs are unfortunate, but they'll be back.
Yeah.
But the Troll's a piece. So nice to have let it take hits, and now it's less good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
All right, yeah, on to Farm Animals Mark II versus Squeaky Blinders. This was one that I think we both caught part of the stream on.
Yeah.
And it did seem, it seemed a little, I'm sure for Jabzu, it seemed a little like deja vu from, the Farm Animals Mark II match from last week, where they, didn't play particularly poorly, but still wound up with some gutter runners scampering in on turn 16 to win the match. Jabzu asking us to skip it. Seems like they've come to grips with this match. What I will say is, for Random Maximus's part, they obviously did enough to win and kept their pieces in the game. Also getting a level on Finn Colby in the process, which is making that piece almost, very similar to John Colby, which I think is an interesting... like I haven't seen...
They've ended up being so similar.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if there was a story behind that.
Yeah, right. Well, they obviously have. None of those two were marker pickups, right? Because they have the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel like I usually see Skaven gutter runners. Like, one of them is positioned to be the ball hawk, the other one the pickup artist or whatever. That's not what they call them, but
Sure.
And.
The retriever, the ball retriever guy.
I guess we talked about this before, of like maybe they lost one version of Ada Colby might have been that retriever.
I'm sure that there was something going on where they used to have some pieces other than two ball hawks.
Yeah, and at this point with Finn Colby, like, it's not like you can divert. I don't know. I don't think Dauntless...
Looks like the dead gutter runners are all like a lot of blodge set pieces. Sometimes with Fed.
So not even that. Wow.
One with diving tackle. One that was blodge guard.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, he's got another guard one. Maybe that's a specialty. Just getting guard. I don't know. They're just doing a different play then.
Yeah.
They do have a thrower that's a pretty good retriever, I guess.
Yeah.
Not as crafty. That obviously doesn't have the two heads or the big hand or whatever.
It's only a good ball carrier thrower.
Yes, yeah. So, but yeah, Chabzu pointed out, got out removed, and yeah, comparatively
with less armor breaks and a lot less blocks.
Yep. That's the big thing standing out, and so. But, I think silver lining for them, they only have one more Skaven to face.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. Not much big damage going either way for either of these teams. So, again, it felt like a match Chabzu could have won, but it felt like one, that the Skaven could have won, and they just managed to pull it out. It could have been a tie. I think it was very close to being a tie, but then obviously turn 16 had other ideas.
Yeah.
So, all right. What do we got next? Oh God, it's mine.
Another match someone doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, even worse than my one before. This one, so the one thing I'll say about this is that it was looking at other matches that happened this week, specifically at the High Elf Skaven match that we'll talk about later on. That was one where one team kept exposing the ball, but the ball kept finding its way back to that team.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this match, I exposed the ball precisely the amount of times that the ball got stolen and run away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was I think I'm still. I'll say that I'm still cracking off the rust on these Frenzy boys and have just been at a loss at what to do on offense with them.
Yeah.
And not having one of my runners was not helpful, but it didn't really equate to the whole thing. The first half, I think, was okay, because I was trying to score quickly to counter score. I got them to score after 3 or 4 turns, and so had 4 turns to be able to counter. And I thought I played that okay. I definitely exposed the ball a little bit, but some of that was just trying to rush. And he had 1 shot, and he made it, so that was that. And I think that was actually with the wizard, because that wasn't them getting through to the ball carrier. That was them wizarding and the ball popping out to just a nice spot for them to get.
Yeah.
The second half was definitely my fault of just trying to get all my hits and then figure out what my cage was versus some sort of in between that's not as risky.
There were some moments of that where it seems like you used half your team and then you're like, what am I going to do with the ball?
Yeah, and there's definitely a turn I remember where I was like, wait, why don't I have more pieces? And that's because both of my Ulfs got stunned on the same turn or something. And I just didn't take that into account when I wanted, got all those juicy hits that I wanted. And so, yeah, it was just, I don't know, playing more for damage when I really needed to focus on carrying the ball.
Yeah, and though I would say one thing is I have noticed, I think it's something to maybe work on, is in playing for damage, you still end up taking a lot of hits with your blitzes with your runner, who obviously doesn't have Mighty Blow and Piling on.
Yeah.
That I feel like there's been some missed opportunities, and they're not always hard to produce, but to get Philly Cheese Dog, on key things to kill it.
Yeah, I think right. I think my approach with that and why Chicken of the V has been getting more looks. I was doing tackle blitzes, but I didn't want the frenzy.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing, right? It's the frenzy, and that makes it hard to do.
Yeah, and I just need to plan a little more ahead of that, or I think I anticipate that those blitzes will come once things start to spread out, but those first couple turns are definitely ones that are tough for me to not get into frenzy traps with that berserker. But Broken Battalion played a good game. They took a bunch of KOs, but overall didn't take much damage and gave back. Not in KOs, but casualties as well.
And I will admit, this is also a team where it's hard to avoid the frenzy traps when a number of 3 of the nice pieces you want to go after have sidestep.
Yep.
And where it's a elf team with 2 guard pieces.
Yep. Yeah,
both of which really expand the opportunity for them to set up problems for you.
Yeah, they have some really good pieces, and they are used to playing semi-bashy. And chatting with Super Base, they talked about they had I think 4 guard linemen at one point, which is obscene, and you can kind of tell by the way they play. I think it was 4, but either way, they weren't. I was anticipating them trying to score very quickly, and instead it was kind of quickly, and that they were very comfortable with their positioning and making me work for those hits. So they played very well, and curious to see where they go next.
Yeah. In terms of development, obviously he didn't get any levels. I like Leap on Chicken of the Bee. I think it'll be fun to see them. Those two guys go at it.
Yeah.
Fen makes sense with Midgard Madness, and my understanding is Ymir has been fired.
Yeah. Ymir's gone. I need to double check if I'm hiring a replacement. I don't think I have. And yeah, might need to look into that. But yeah, the niggle was too much for a guard piece, especially. Yeah. That's just going to be in the scrum. And yeah, the leap on the runner, so now having dual leaping runners, is just like, we're reaching the end, certainly the very end of like what Norse guides can offer, and just like Norse line of thought. Not a lot of Norse coaches have two runners. That's up for debate. I have that and a thrower, and so like I'm in a weird space with this team, so I'm just leaning. That's
some of what makes the team kind of pricey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that I'm learn to live with. But yeah, I'm leaning into the weirdness and just gonna ride that out and see where it gets me. Cool. Next up, we've got Warpstone and Rock and Roll versus Romanian Rebels.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a nice win for Orfer. Hard fought match. Yeah, nice. So I watched this one. I actually caught some of the stream of this, and then I went back and did a review of the replay. Yeah, so I mean, want to just like jump right into it?
Yeah. I kind of remember the end too, but yeah.
So yeah, the start of the match, Dark Elves are receiving, and basically, so the Witch Elf just ends up like spending a lot of time hanging like a few squares back from the midline, with the two teams bashing it out. There's a lot of knockdowns, but not a lot of removals early on, and as you can see, like only 2 KOs sustained and 1 casualty for each team. Like really not a lot of damage. Like Orfer kept like knocking down goblins with block, but then just getting a stun. And then the killers really struggled to get anything better than a push on the Underworld team. Yeah, so you see second quarter, Elves are kind of still holding in back a little bit, like not too far back, but just like kind of away from where the fight's happening. Then you get Cutney Love leaving the field with that MNG. That's a turn. That was a just huge foul from the Elves, making use of their dirty player piece, which you don't always see on those Elf teams. The Wizard then comes out and a use of it I'm not totally convinced on, where it's like a 4 Elf attrition fireball. Only 2 of the 4 are knocked down, and then 1 of those is stunned, no removals. And so like there's just not a lot of bang for the buck. But and like the reality was there was like neither of the Witch Elves nor the plus strength Blitzer or the Mighty Blitzer were in the fireball. And those are like the good pieces, right?
Yeah.
And so there really wasn't like a lot of value there. So I was not sold on that particular use of it. After that though, that 2-head Blitzer, or Cobain, does some really cool stuff and uses his 2 heads just go like screaming at the ball.
Oh yeah.
It actually like gets it down, turns it back into a scrum.
I like that skill choice. Yeah.
For a bit. And yeah, the Elves end up having to try to move the ball up. And it seems like they only have 1 piece in scoring position, which the Underworld then pushes back. But Dark Elves do a chain push with Frenzy on one of the Witch Elves to push a Goblin. Like they move all these pieces into position to get like 1 extra square on the ball carrier, who then 2 GFIs, goes ahead and scores. So it was actually really nicely done by Orfer there. That it seemed like he maybe had been like got out of it, but he figured it out. Turn 8, Troll declines to throw the Goblin. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then second half, all the KOs come back. Underworld Drive starts with a riot. This is when the bomber takes the field, which normally I still associate them as more as like a defensive piece. He ended up being not super helpful to the offense in that his first contribution was he fumbled a throw, which knocked himself and Glart down, which meant that the screen in front of the ball went away.
Oh no!
So it opened to the cage.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, the elves are able to send in a witch elf for a 2-die on the ball, and it gets down, and they're just like fighting over it. The dark, and it's just like it's on the ground a lot. Sometimes gets picked up, but then knocked down again. Dark elves just have more block. They've got like just like more skills for the fight and like more strength for the fight.
Yeah.
And they eventually end up getting away with it. Actually, so they managed to get it, but then there's a misclick by the Dark Elves that like totally changes things. They end up clicking next to their intended target for a pass rather than on it.
Oh,
the ball
I think
hits
I
the
saw
field,
this.
scatters out, and then it's thrown into the Dark Elf half of the field, and Underworld goes and gets it. Daddy Lee goes and grabs it. Underworld tries to set up a screen, but the elves penetrate that, but they can't get him down. He roars Sukaro, blitzes, frees him up, just a dodge to GFIs into the end zone. He makes it, so it's 1-1 with one turn to the elves, but then they one turn.
Yeah.
The win. They actually slightly suboptimal pathing, it turns out, getting into the end zone. There's one more dodge away from tackle than strictly necessary, but they got the check, so they didn't need dodge on it. And they get it done.
Yeah.
There's one we could like watch him on the stream, like trying all the different paths, and it's like you got so close.
It can be tough, especially after too
long game, and you're like, what
absolutely.
exactly is going on? And it's easy when you're watching the stream to be like, oh, this is how you should do it.
Yeah, because we've all gotten up to grab a drink, go to the bathroom, and do whatever. And you're sitting there trying to sweat out 15, 16 turns. But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment from Roto.
I think a likely thing would have been the second half just stalling out with the ball staying on the ground. And just no one recovering it, and it was the elves got it. Probably would have had to go down again, but the misclick meant that it, and the scatter in being in a place where Underworld could go grab it and just
yeah.
But he managed to get it done, so congrats to him.
Yeah. Well, and pulling out a one-turn suboptimal or not always feels like an accomplishment. So especially with all those move busts. Only damage that's going to last is there's your 1 MNG on a very nice piece that's going to be missed, but nothing, no real damage. 2 heads on that goblin is nice. I'd love to see that this season is get to some of the fun like level 3 goblins where you get 2 heads and then the next skill. You get your big hand. You get hopefully you get like a double for wrestle or block or something would be really fun. Good match. Yeah. Cool. All right, next up, Talk Show Terror versus Wrath of Nuffle.
Yeah. This one you can see 220 inducements going to Necro, which they did on a bribe and 2 Bloodwasser Babes, so a little bit of damage dealing, a little bit of damage mitigation. And it worked out for them. Yeah.
Jesus.
So
wow.
Yeah, so this one, Chaos chose to receive to get those, LOS hits, which does get him a KO. But the Necro-Fouling game starts really strong right away. Pyrrhus, one of the Beastmen who died, that's a turn 1 foul. Just dying to the boot. Not really a lot of focus on the ball in the first quarter. Cullen really not pushing up too aggressively forward with it. Legion not really pushing it too hard. Second quarter, you're seeing Chaos push up the field. Necro kind of gets in the way, but the focus remains on damage, and Necro just gets the better of it. And they're actually producing casualties instead of KOs. Thanks in to a large extent to their fouling, which they just keeps coming.
Man.
So Chaos ends up pushing up now really aggressively into being a multiply based cage. The Necro will lean into that. You get a real scrum involving the ball carrier. And the end result is that Cullen feels enough pressure to run the ball carrier in on turn 6. Has to do some dodges through traffic, but this is an AG4 2 heads piece. Like it goes where it wants to go. Yeah. Bloodwasser Babes do a thing. We get Howard Earn back on the field from a KO. It's just a wrestle zombie though, so who cares? It's not like Necro was wanting for them.
Well, we all remember the legend of Howard Earn.
True enough, yeah, he multiplied across time and space. So Necro gets 3 turns to attempt their touchdown. The opening LOS hits put 2 more Beastmen in the casualty box. Red Cloud's badly hurt, and Yufei's death comes in now. At this point, Chaos only has 7 on the field. And then on his turn, he fails a GFI, produces a KO, so he's down to 6 on the field.
Oh my gosh.
Chaos isn't able to put enough bodies in the way to stop Necro from tying things up at 1-1, particularly where another failed GFI produces another KO.
Oh my gosh.
And then the hits to free up the ball carrier to score on turn 8 for Legion. One of them produces a badly hurt on the Killer Beastman, and then an AV bust on the plus AG ball carrier, which eats the Apothecary.
Yeah.
But it was bad. Off the first half for Chaos. It's going to Necro Drive. It's 1-1. Only one of the Chaos KOs, Wally Manto comes back. Saladin stays out, so it's 5 Chaos pieces on the field for their defense.
Oh my gosh.
And Necro has not just all of their pieces are actually up 1, right? Because Pyrrhus is now on their team.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't need him, but they did field him on the field.
Sure, yeah.
Didn't do anything particularly
as you
interesting.
do,
yeah. Basically at this point, Wally Manto soon leaves with a KO from the LOS hits. That's Chaos has 4 on the field, and at that point, Cullen just gives up, tries to hide. And I don't believe him for it at that point. It's 11 on 4. The Apothecary's gone, and of the 4 pieces on the field, 3 of them are Attila, Hannibal, and Crazy Horse, who are probably his 3 best pieces.
Yeah.
And it's just you just can't let them die. Legion's willing to lets Cullen run off so that he can cage up near the, because he's happy to just go cage up near the end zone and get the ball in Eleanor Generous's hands. So she scores, and that means when she gets the MVP. That's the level. Also, Legion actually very nicely offered up a zombie, in fact, the reborn Pyrus, to go ahead to let Cullen do some hits. It's kept standing up being fine, you can hit this guy, try to kill him, but nothing comes out of it. And that's the game. LOS hits by the Chaos. So it ends up only being 1 LOS hit because the crowd comes in and stuns. With pitch invasion, 2 of the zombies that are on the LOS.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So not even a chance to get SPP that way.
Yeah.
It was very, very bashy match, and you can just look at it and it's the Chaos team took the casualties.
Yeah, 12. Well, yeah, not a lot of blocks between the 2 of them. So I guess the second half being just a standoff. Yeah,
it was the second half. You saw the Necros, by the last quarter, Necro weren't taking hits. Yeah. And Chaos was taking 1 hit on Pyrrhus, who was being offered as the sacrifice. And there were so few Chaos on the field that they couldn't take a lot of hits. Yeah. And then it's some of those armor breaks that Necro managed to get. That was the fouling that they just kept doing.
Yeah.
Their damage was high in part because they just kept fouling.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that happened in another match this week as well. So.
2 deaths in this match, so that's got to be disappointing. That said, there are pieces that he can afford to replace. You'd rather have that Racco guy and that Block Beastman. Yeah. But it's not the end of the world. You kept your good pieces.
Yeah. And Pierce already had the agility bust, right?
Yeah, he already had the agility bust. So, and frankly, the Racco piece is a terrible piece to have agility busted. Yep. Yeah. But it's exactly what you want to be able to have go running after stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah. Still, overall, it definitely feels like can't be too happy with how the match went. But yeah, in the end, at least for next week, just a couple pieces that they'll have to recycle. And looks like they'll have some money for it. So
yeah,
cool. All right, on to our penultimate match for the week. Goblins.deck versus Dead and Scoring It. This match, I would say this is my match of the week. This thing was buck wild. I came in 4 turns in, and it was already madness. So I took some notes on it, and really, it was a tale of 2 halves. The first half, the Skaven were receiving, and they actually, and I'm curious, we don't have Tim on here, but I'm very curious about his setup, because he set up, it either looked like he forgot that he was receiving, which seems unlikely, or he just set up an extreme anti-blitz, anti-perfect defense offense. It was I hadn't seen anything like it in a while. Certainly not really from him, but to be fair, the Undead had stacked the line a little bit. At least they had all guard pieces up there. They had both mummies up there. So I think they had mummies, and then the guards block zombie and the guard white. So like there wasn't really a lot of room for him to make LOS hits, but he like wasn't interested. And that kind of set the tone, I think, of like Skaven being a lot more like dancey and kind of like moving around pieces instead of like getting into the fray of like that we've seen Goblins deck do before, right? Where they're really like a bit more of a scrummy Skaven team. Generally, they did not want to really like fight with this Undead team. And yeah, it showed like turn 1 that the Kaz on Triform Cutter, that was on turn 1. So Triform Cutter wasn't in this match at all. And it, that, and they were set up for it. Goblins deck scored for the first score on turn 2. And then on their, once we got into turn 3 on defense, they got a blitz. And they threw all of their gutter runners towards a very deep kick that they had done. And I thought they were just going to like pick it up and run it in. But the Undead actually managed, the kick was so deep they couldn't get any gutter runners under it. Mm-hmm. And the Undead were able to pick up the ball. This was a wild play. They picked up the ball and they had one ghoul set up to receive a pass and just run. Like Goblins that deck had moved everything in. Everything. All gutter runners were in the other side of the field. And there was a chance for the Undead to like just break loose. The ghoul picks it up and like tries to cut a corner and dodge towards the sideline. Fails to dodge, stuns itself, and the ball scatters out into the crowd. The crowd tosses it like 3 squares over from that and in 3 Undead tackle zones. I'm like, this okay. But then Skaven do weird Skaven magic and pull it out of that and manage to score. It was so like Murderous Redcap gets in there, takes the ball, gets it to another gutter runner who seemed safe. Undead steal the ball back off of them, but then Murderous Redcap just red-dyed him, takes the ball off of him, I think gets it to the rookie gutter runner, and that's how they got the second score. So a lot more back and forth. Like it seemed like it was going to be pretty straightforward, but then, so we're turn 4, and we've got Skaven up 2-0. And then the Undead removal train just piles through. For the whole next quarter, they managed to get 5 removals in 4 turns. Wow. 4 KOs and only 1 Kaz, but still. And the Rats get they had a really nice foul on Vethra. I think it was like 3 assists. It was a stun send-off. And then that was the end of that. So, Undead did not have that hard of a time scoring. I think it was a little close at points, but they scored at the end of the first half, and so that's 2-1. At the start of the second half, Skaven have 5 players.
Wow.
And one of which gets like a rock thrown at it and stunned at the start of it. And then a mummy casts a line rat, and you essentially have 3 to 4 rats. And this is where I call into question a little bit, because like it's true. Like, okay, so you have 4 rats after LOS hits that can actually do anything, I guess, and it's Triform Cutter's not out there, and they I think Undead tried to like make a move for a quick score, but they didn't set up somebody in scoring position. They just tried to hand off at midfield to a ghoul, and that failed. So the ball was on the ground, and then, but even by like turn 11, there was only 2 rats left on the pitch, and they stalled it out to the very end of the match. I was very surprised. Obviously, Goblin Set deck have potential 1-turn options, so on and so forth. But yeah, I was a little surprised to see that because I thought there was definitely enough time to just throw caution to the wind a little bit. Like, sure, maybe some of those KOs came back, but you still, I think, would have had the upper hand as far as numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. We'll see if that makes a difference in leaderboards over time. But this felt like a win that they settled for a tie.
Yeah.
And it was. I mean, they definitely played well to get to that point, and removal dice being what they are, but they still, positioned fairly well. But
maybe a little conservative at the end.
Yeah. Great development though, for both coaches. This is ridiculous. A white and 2 ghouls leveling up. A ghoul getting a plus agility.
What a great piece to get that on, right? Like the ball carrier and the ball hawk are the 2 with the agility increase are best.
Yeah.
And you'll be in the same situation as me where you're like, okay, now this piece needs tackle. Please let me level this piece to get tackle.
Right.
But he's AG4, so getting him the ball is fine, right?
Yeah.
You carry on Tomb Robber, use the sure hands to get it up, blodge step to keep it safe, and then hands it off at the end.
Yeah. Well, and Bone Collector already has dodge, so it's a Raj piece with agility up. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Goblin War Chief getting a level, 2 Gutter Runners getting levels, and Trash Master is in a similar spot where you maybe consider tackle on him.
Yeah.
Grumgully, you're just happy to get him blocker or wrestle, whichever you're going with there.
Yeah.
And this, I think overall, probably Tim Nielsen's feeling pretty good about getting, pulling out a tie there and getting all that development. And basically just, the line rats took a bunch of knocks, but
yeah, you can live with an energy on one, an agility down on the other. That's totally fine to have everything else healthy and developing well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious what Goblin War Chief is going to get. Because I think Goblin Trash Master, tackle is like the natural choice.
Yeah.
Given you don't have a wrestle tackle gutter runner.
Yep.
War Chief, you can go a number of different ways with that piece, and I'm curious to see what you do.
Yeah.
Because piling on with no claw and a strength up is, to me, not necessarily, and that would be one of the classic choices, right, is to get a piling on piece going.
Yeah.
But maybe you do it anyways. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Because this is the penultimate level, and you don't have, you can't really plan on it getting that next
one. Ideally he rolled doubles and it's going to be claw.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah, because, even, Dauntless is kind of useless with that strength up, so, yeah. It'll be fun for him, not for the rest of us, probably.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the final match. And that is Integrity Farmers versus the Scurry Squad. This match was also wild. And if you want to see, Salt in its, purest form, you can watch this stream by True Blue, because Lord, it started early and it did not let up.
Did not have a good time with this one.
No, and I don't really blame them. It was bad. They were calling blitzes and they were happening against them. Right? It was just Hiroto points out one of these 1-turners is better than the other. It was the much hyped battle of the 2 natural 1-turners. I suppose there's more than 2 but yeah, this was, I alluded to this earlier, but this was a case of the Skaven. This was a case of one team being a little loosey-goosey with caging and with protecting the ball, and that was the Skaven. The first half, so the biggest thing for me, the first half...
It seemed not to have been a huge problem for them.
Yeah, right. It's wild. The first half ended 1-0 for the Skaven. So we had 4 touchdowns in the second half. And so the first half was just a bunch of back and forth. The Skaven beating up on the High Elves, but the High Elves taking shots at the ball, getting shots at the ball, getting the ball down, but then failing some part of the retrieval process. Like the best example is turn 1. They get a chance to sack the ball. They do get double pals, knock the ball carrier down, go in and have a 4+, 2+ to go pick up the ball, fail the 4+ dodge, and that was Pimp Butters takes the Cavs right away. It takes the perm, the armor bust right away. And it's yeah, that's pretty much the summation of how the rest of this went. They would get halfway through these beautiful plays, and then it would just 1 in 36, or in this case, because they use the reroll, fail the 75% or whatever it is. So yeah, that was the first half of them just trying to do that stuff. The fouling game for this Skaven was absolutely on point as well, and True was pretty frustrated by that because they tried to foul and got a stun send off, but the Skaven fouled 6 times this first half. Maybe it was 4 and then 6 into the second half. But just constantly fouling with much deserved MVP Merc lineman just running around fouling with impunity. And there was a bribe in play, but it did not have to come out until foul 4 or something like that. So that was the Rats definitely were, and you can see it in the armor breaks, but we're definitely getting the removal game going. The High Elves fail a 1-turn attempt on their turn 8 after the Skaven managed to pop it in the end zone. They came ridiculously close. I think they just had a 2+ dodge plus 2 more GFIs, and they failed the dodge. It 1 in 36'd it. And it was,
that sucks.
Yeah, 1 in 1. And at that point, True Blue was just this is ridiculous. And then they called the blitz at the start of the second half, and that happened. It was just full on nightmare mode. Skaven get under the ball, catch it, even managed to stall a couple times before scoring on turn 11 to make it 2-0. The next kickoff was a perfect defense against the Elves. And they had set up for a 1-turn at that point, because they're well, we got to get some touchdowns. So they set up for a 1-turn, got perfect defense against. They try to do the 1-turn attempt. They get to the first GFI, fail it, re-roll, fail. And then the ball's just there. The Skaven grab it, and they score again. They finally get a 1-turn to work on turn 14 or so, and then Skaven get a turn to get a 4th score, but not before letting the Elves have another sack opportunity. That didn't matter. It was a very I saw the score line and I thought I could predict how this was all going to play out, and it was nothing like I expected. Very interesting match, though. Obviously very painful for the High Elves. And I think the big lesson for Skaven, but maybe it's not, maybe it's all part of the game plan, is maybe try to protect the ball a little bit better, but what do I know? I can't score more than 2 touchdowns, so it's fine. And that brings us to the end of the week.
Nice.
So we'll move in. No clips this week. This was kind of a busy week for me, and hopefully get back to that next week. There was definitely a lot of clips if you want to go back and watch the stream this past of True Blues match, but they seemed not suitable for all audiences. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's move into previews for week 3.
Yeah.
And at the top, as Cyanide has divined for most of these matches. It's weird how the round robins are set up like this, but there always seems to be like one consistent team at the top, and that's the Hobnobs. They're going up against the 1-1 or 1-1-0 Pro Elves.
So we're seeing Burke actually would have had 4 pieces out, but there was a niggled block lineman that he just went ahead and fired, and replaced with Mocknick.
Yep.
He still got 340 coming in.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I would think I wouldn't mind seeing like a bribe, a dirty player lineman. That's like just do things to enhance your damage output when you actually get these elves on the ground, because he does not have a ton of tools for doing so. He's got that one mighty blow tackle piece, which will be an absolute target on Super Base's part to try to control them. And other than that, he's out a number of skills and some strength, and it's going to be a rough matchup, I think.
From a team build perspective, and I don't know if Brooke's watching this, but one thing I'm looking at is like, you think 4 rerolls is needed for these orcs?
No, I think 3 rerolls would be just fine.
Yeah, I think that'd be like, that's something I would look at as like, I mean, obviously you're getting 340. It's not like you need to trim off a lot, but
this match, you're not necessarily worried about it. But
but especially you've got
some point.
You've got 2 of your black orc blockers there with block. One of them not in this match, but like, with those pieces, once those pieces get that, they're not going to be eating up rerolls. You already are running with a thrower who has sure hands. I think 3 is plenty. I agree. I think definitely no wizard for the orcs this week is what I would recommend, and I would get another journeyman, maybe with dirty player, some bribes. I think as I mentioned in my review of my match against Broken Bone Battalion, they're not afraid to scrum, and this
is an attractive time for them to do so against orcs with a black orc blocker out, the troll out, that blitzer out.
Yep,
they can actually fight.
Yeah, and I think they do it in a way that's not like, they, at least against me, they weren't just like throwing bodies at the churn necessarily. It was just like, they're picking their targets, and again, I think as you mentioned, their 3 best pieces have sidestep, so it's not like you can really hem them in. I think this will be a tough match, tough bounce back match for the orcs. I think the Pro Elves can probably handle this, but if for some reason the injury removal train gets going for the orcs somehow, then could be trouble. But I think it is going to be tough again with, to their point, they don't have a ton of skills to go up against a bunch of blodge pieces.
No.
It's going to be, so it'll be tricky.
Agreed.
Cool. Our next match, this one's already been played.
Yeah.
And we're being recommended to watch this.
We don't need to talk about this one too much. I do want to watch it. I'm curious to see the battle of the of tentacles. I expect that the Minotaur tentacles will be more useful than the troll tentacles in this matchup, but we will see.
Yeah. I saw part of this today, but then I had to bounce out to do some other things. It did look like it was going to be down to the wire.
And one thing I'll be curious to see is, as you know, there's now stats on the bottom. Those are season-long stats, so those are keep accumulating.
Yep.
Was that the 102 blocks that Chabsu has taken? That was 51 blocks each game. So I'm curious to see if he's able to keep it up.
man, that's wild. Yeah, he's outpacing his opponents by half.
That's the fun of playing Skaven.
Yeah,
you will make more blocks
True.
than they do.
True, but the Kaz and KOs and kill numbers are exactly the same.
Well, because the Skaven then have Claw coming back at you when they're doing their targeted strikes.
Yeah. No, this is a good pitch for playing Skaven, I guess. Yeah, I am curious to see how the Underworld hold up. Probably a bummer to be missing Cut Knee Love. Because you'd like to have those horns and definitely that claw in this match. I think I saw a Glart.
Glart took the field.
Yeah. Appearance for this one. So at least a little bit of more claw coming back. But definitely two good big guys in the Farmer Mark 1 and Skeletroll. Yeah. Looking forward to checking that out. All right, next up we have on the Rage Quit tour, we have Talk Show Terror up against the one and only Arabi, who's shooting up from bottom to 8th.
Yeah.
And this is why we haven't done leaderboards yet.
Yeah. There'll be a formal leaderboard next week.
Mm-hmm.
120 inducements going to Robbie. That'll be a bribe. And it'll be interesting to see. There's
nothing is more sure in this world. Yeah.
This Necromantic team is no joke. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah. I want to see what Conan O'Dine got, but I don't know what else you do with that.
Yeah, if that's a normal, that could just end up being sidestep.
I guess I would want Juggernaut on that.
That's a double though, so.
Ah, shit. Yeah. Why do I? Yeah.
Now, if you get double, if you wouldn't take Juggernaut, you would then consider, you might do Juggernaut, but you might do Piling On.
Oh, what?
If you actually got a double.
Piling On without any jump up? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What am I talking about? All my jump up comes for free.
Yeah, probably a normal though. So
yeah,
we'll see. So this is a team that can bash with a Arabi, but it is less bashy.
Yeah.
Than Rebel Rage Quit. You have zombies as like meat shields.
Yeah.
I would think you use those to protect your team, screen off his blisses, make it hard for him to engage with anything that's too valuable while you go ahead and score on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the nice thing being for anybody that can get Arabi at this point is that he doesn't have speed to go along with his terror. Like both Bull Centaurs are just noobs. They don't have the Mighty Blow Piling On that he used to have. So like you can Corgin off, especially if you have a bunch of chaff like these zombies. You should be able to Corgin off these blockers.
Yeah.
I expect to see the Necro come out on top, but
damage kicks in though, like as we've seen. But I think this Necro team is better set up to handle Arabi than say the Orcs were.
Yeah. Cool. Next up, we got Squeaky Blinders. Ooh, we got is this our first Skaven Mirror?
I think so.
Surprising, given there's so many of them. But yeah, Squeaky Blinders versus Goblins.deck. And almost mirror team value as well. Man. Very curious to see what those levels turn out for Tim. Probably, been a bit frustrating for him having just the 2 ties. Squeaky Blinders having a bit more of the up and down. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think we've ever covered a Skaven Mirror. Oh wait, no, that's not true.
I don't think so.
There was there was Goblins.deck and then the...
Oh, yeah. There's another Skaven team last season.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this will be interesting because that was a very poorly developed team. This is 2 comparative...
That's right. Yeah, Rats and
reasonably developed teams, but in different ways, right? you've got the strength on the Storm Vermin for Goblins on deck, whereas Squeaky Blinders has that Vampire Thrower. And the Gutter Runners look a little bit different, though for both of them, like one of their better ones is a really nice Ball Hawk.
Yeah.
Just Squeaky Blinders has 2 of them, while Goblins on deck has the 1-turner.
Yeah.
Which is probably what you'd rather have.
Probably.
But this will be interesting one to see.
Yeah, for sure. It will be a battle of the positionals and really how each coach is able to use them and put them in positions to outmaneuver the other one. I think before, where we've seen Goblins deck get a little bit more scrummy, they've had like bribes or a bunch more line rats to throw at it. They're not going to have that this time, so they're really going to have to rely more on their positionals to carry the load.
Yeah.
Cool. What's next? Yes. My match versus the High Elves next week.
Yeah.
Or not next week. This is happening tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, I think, 8:30 or so. I don't know. It's gonna be a question of which of us feels the best about our teams. I think after Integrity ran into the Scurry Squad last week, they were feeling pretty low about their team. But I am looking at this team and seeing a lot of dodge, and I only have 2 tackle pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I've had trouble with High Elves going back to my rookie season with the Norse, just because you can't remove them as quickly, and they have just about the same amount of speed. Well, Captain Zoom being excluded, but similar speed to me, so I can't outrun them. It's not really a good matchup for me.
No, I wouldn't think so. You're going against a natural 1-turner who you'll be giving them a wizard, and they have a ton of dodge. They have the tackle to deal with your dodgy pieces, and your elite pieces are going to be a little bit marginalized by the fact that you're not going to get near the ball.
Yeah, but do they have a plan for Boomer?
Right. That's fair enough.
I rest my case. And hello, welcome Tim, and I guess Practical Snow as well. It looks like your recap is faster than ours, or the recap that you do for 3A, whatever. Nuts.
You do have something going for you here, which is that the High Elves probably won't get a star player. So the fact that you have enough alter while giving away like inducements is gonna be a little bit less terrible for you.
Yeah, exactly. Tim, stop giving away my secrets. Thank you. That's more like it, Practical. I like that. And sometimes that's me getting bombed in my own face, in which my plan goes out the window. But yeah, no, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know. They didn't get it in the matches that I've seen for the High Elves. They have not been especially quick to go and score. Mm-hmm. But the main one that I saw was this past one, and that was just wild. So we'll see.
Hopefully, Billy Cheesedog does some work. I think that's what you're going to be kind of counting on. You need to aggressively deploy him and start getting elves off the field.
Really wishing he had Juggernaut instead of freaking Dauntless, at least for this match, but I wanted one of each, and that's what we got. So that'll be next if he gets there. But yeah, I hope this will be fun. I've been, past my first 2 matches, obviously, being bottom of the division hasn't been too much fun. Fun coaches to play against, but haven't been having fun with Norse so far.
Mm-hmm.
So
understandable.
We'll see. Next up we've got... Ooh, wow, really? Huh. we've got our 1 and 2 teams facing off. I guess it is early again.
It's early enough in the season that like
yada yada.
Well, first thing doesn't mean not, but still, two teams that have been like performing right out the gate. Two teams that are in like got a lot of good stuff going on. Actually, one of the little bit less developed Skaven teams, but still a lot of good pieces.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Including the natural one-turner and a pretty solid like ball hawk up against an elf team that doesn't have any sure hands.
Right. And this is a team, the Dark Elf team, which is like almost mirroring, or at least has, I think, more blocks than like that Chabzu's Chaos team. Yeah, I think they have the most, maybe the most blocks in the div.
Yeah, Orpher likes blocking a lot.
Yeah. They're in a good spot. Giving up 380, which you probably don't really care about much beyond the 150 anyway, right?
Right. Yeah. Once you're giving up the wizard, then it's diminishing returns. I would expect to see maybe you could see Glart hit the field maybe. You seem to like him.
Yeah.
But
I think that'd be a decent fit against armor value 8.
Yeah.
It's a block piece too. Chabzu, were you a mentor for Orford, or just, I don't know, big fan? I don't remember how many seasons Orford's been in REBBL. Maybe 4 at this point, 5. This
4 sounds right. I think he was in his second season when I was in the div with him.
Oh, okay, cool. This seems like a good way to test the metal for each one of these. See if Scurry Squad's for real, even though, like you said, they're more, developed a little more wide than tall. I don't know if that's the way to say that, but their gutters aren't as built up as the two other Skavens for sure. Oh, okay. You were recapping. Oh yeah, that's cool. I'll take Orpher's success as my own. Nice. It's a good way to do that. So there, I do think this matchup favors the Dark Elves, but as I saw Scurry Squad against High Elves last week, things can just happen, and then you win 4-1. So, I think if Romanian Rebels can just like keep its cool, maybe have to pull out a 1 turn on its own, then they could keep it close, probably win it, but good swing.
Mm-hmm. One match left.
Yeah, so our final match for the week, Wrath of Nuffle versus Dead and Scoring It.
Yeah, kind of a trimmed down Wrath of Nuffle.
Yeah.
But still with a lot of good pieces.
Yeah. Still a very solid Chaos team. And still giving up 100k to, I'd say, a pretty, certainly now, like more and more solid undead team as the season's been going.
Oswald just got Mighty Blow, and you just got that agility up on Bone Collector. It's actually pretty good looking team.
Yeah, Bone Stalker, I think, just got the block.
Yep.
So they're all of a sudden, because I think when we first looked at them for the pre-cap, we're like, there's some nice pieces here and some projects. Well, now the projects are rolling, and they're 1-1-0. It's it could go pretty well from here. But this will be a good test, I think. Outside of its namesake, that the very Wrath of Nuffle coming down and striking this team, this Chaos team, they are pretty solid generally. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they'll bounce back after last week against a Necro team, so similar sort of like region and general vibe, I guess, of just kind of like not having the removal game work for them. But
but I mean, that was one match. It was just bad dice, that match, in terms of that removal. If they can get a rolling in this match, they could do some real damage to this undead team. It's just can the claw do its thing? Can the Mighty Blow do its thing? Can the tackle do the thing on the ghouls and then just regen?
Yeah.
Well, save the undead.
Yeah, I think it'll be a question of whether they can get to those pieces or if they'll get caught up on the zombies and the skeletons and so forth. I mean, 100 is like just a bribe, and so they're already going to have. I mean, I say just a bribe, as in like very simply, it's a bribe so that they can continue and do fouling and that sort of thing, and they're already going to have the piece advantage to be able to do that pretty freely. So yeah, I'll be interested in checking this one out. Curious when it gets scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that pretty much rounds it out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we said a few times, as we once we get into next week, we'll start looking at the leaderboards in more earnest. You can see as you go back through. Oh, Tuesday at 5 for Wrath of Nuffle versus Dead and Scornet. Cool.
Oh, nice.
I don't think I'll be able to watch that live, but yeah, very exciting.
Either.
And I completely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what to say. But
well, I think we were basically done for the week.
Yes, yeah. I think talking about next week. Yeah, that's right. I was talking about next week. We'll have a leaderboard to kind of look through, and you can kind of see like a little bit of records and where people were falling in the ranks on each of those preview match sheets that Kodiak put together. That gave you a little bit of where things are falling, and yeah, be looking forward to seeing where things land next week.
Yep.
So thanks everyone for watching, and let us know when matches are coming up, and we'll try to catch those live when we can.
Mm-hmm.
Night all.